It is just over 1 week until the Breeders' Cup of 2024. We'll be visiting Del Mar next week on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. There will be so much stuff going on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast as well. So hit that subscribe button below. You'll be kept up to date with every single thing we do regards to the Breeders' Cup. But this week, Tom, we're going to rein things in. We're just going to be a little bit less excited, but still hopefully find a winner. Luke Elder alongside Tom Collins, as always, off the back of a winner last week. Well done, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, it was good to get Emery on the board. No big price, but still, she had to go and win. She did. You were very unfortunate not to put up a winner in the Perryville, the other race that we covered at Keeneland. I'll let you talk about Bookham Dano in a second. But yeah, Breeders' Cup just a week away now, really. We've got lesser events this week, of course, with all the best horses being kept on the sidelines for their big engagements next week. But hopefully we can still find a winner in the Grade 3 Bryan Station at Keeneland, which is the featured race. $600,000 up for grabs. It's no poor event. It's a good competitive turf race full of nice young horses. So it's still something to watch and still something where we can hopefully find a winner in.
Absolutely. I'm not going to talk about Bookham Dano because I'll just get angry because that was a terrible ride from our Addertees Junior. But we move on to the Grade 3 Bryan Station. We're on turf. We're going a mile over at Keeneland. At the time of recording, no morning line at the moment. So we're piecing things together in our own sort of fashion. But I would wager quite a hefty bet, Tom, that Trikari is going to be right at the head of the market. From a pace standpoint, there are one or two that would quite like to go forward in this. So we should get a decent pace to aim at.
Yeah, spot on all counts there. If you saw our NFL Thursday Night Football podcast, you'll know that we're filming this on Monday due to other commitments on Tuesday, Wednesday. So we are going early. And as you say, no morning line prices. But I'd say we're decent enough to work out roughly what we're going to expect here. And we'll talk about the two main protagonists that we think will be favourite and second favourite, and then our picks. When it comes to pace, yeah, I do think there are a few that are going to go forward. Demolisher should go forward, at least try and make the front. My boy Prince as well always wants to be towards the lead, maybe even on the lead for Mark Cassie. And Mansa Musa steps up from sprints into a mile race, so surely that horse will go forward as well. There's no proper speedball, like out-and-out front-runner blazer in this field, but I still think they're going to go maybe 47 seconds through the half, and that'll make it a fair race for every horse in this big field. We're looking at, again, and incredibly so, at good weather in Lexington. This whole full meet has been good weather. What is happening here? So we should get a firm track, which is just fair for everyone.
I think that this is our reward for having to put up with whatever happened at Saratoga.
Yeah, absolutely. Saratoga was tough. It was rain, sun, and just impossible to work out the track. So yeah, I feel like this is a bit of karma for punters, and we're now able to get firm track, fast main track, and find some winners.
Yeah, it makes a bit more sense over at Keeneland. And Trikari being favourite would make sense as well. A horse who comes off the back of a career best speed figure, albeit in defeat, over at Santa Anita. Interesting place for Trikari to pop up, but all the same, ran fine. Look, it wasn't a run that I was getting overly excited about. I thought the win in the Secretariat was a better effort as an actual horse race would go, but was 2 spots slower regards to a bare speed figure than last time over. But I will say Californian speed figures can sometimes be quite inflated.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think Trikari's the horse to beat in here. He'll probably be favourite around 2-1-ish as a kind of circa range, maybe slightly bigger than that, 9-4, given how big the field is and how competitive it looks. He's won 3 of his last 5 turf starts. He's a very good horse. He won the Grade 1 Belmont Derby, for example, and this would be a step down in terms of status of race. So arguably you could say that he's already proven he's better than this grade, and therefore he is the horse to beat. He also won the Grade 2 Secretariat, which we'll talk about in a second because the runner-up is also in this field. I don't necessarily think he had any excuses last time in the City of Hope over at Santa Anita, but he still ran creditably. It's not like he completely bombed out in that race. Tactical speed's a huge asset, especially in a big field. He'll be able to get into a nice stalking position in 4th, 5th-ish. And he's drawn wide, which I think is actually a positive in this race, considering if you're inside, you have to go and get your spot. We saw this last week with Saffron Moon in the turf race at Keeneland, drawn inside. The rider, Flavien Prat, tried to go find a spot, reined back and was a little bit passive, and instantly found him in the worst possible position. So if you're drawn outside, it's much easier to get into that spot without having to make split-second decisions in the race. The only issues I have with Trikari, one, Manny Franco rides. Now, I love Manny. I think he's a very good pilot, but he barely ever goes to Keeneland to ride, and he doesn't have that course knowledge. And also, he's never ridden Trickery, and this horse isn't necessarily the easiest. Relatively simple, but he's not the easiest. So that would be a slight question mark for me. And also, he's only had one work since that Santorini run. Now, I understand travel comes into play here, but still, one work, and that was on Saturday just gone, and he's been off for a month. So that's a little bit of a concern for me too.
I would be a touch concerned about his. He's going to sound harsh. His Keeneland record. He is 0 from 1. It was his debut, but he was bad. Like
He was.
he looked like a horse where you watch it and you say, they might struggle with this horse. And then immediately he was far better afterwards, after a little bit of a break. Keeneland is a track where you do have to really handle things. I'm not going to say unlike any other North American track, but it's far more galloping than pretty much any other North American track, or at least one that Trickery would have run at in the past. But I do think he's had one or two races sort of given to him from a tactical point of view. This won't be one of them, and it will be a test of Trickery this year. We'll mention as well the first of our Kentucky Downs qualifiers, we'll call them. There's plenty of them in here, but Brilliant Bertie managed to win the gun runner last time around. Obviously, a ton of prize money on offer. It didn't work out a bad race either. Managed to beat Hershey, managed to beat Neat. There were one or two others in that spot as well. Look, Brilliant Bertie didn't do a great deal wrong in that contest and managed to come out on top. I do think had the absolute ideal trip in the race, though.
Yeah, he did. I definitely won't disagree with that. You have to respect this colt purely on the basis that he's 4 from 6 in his career. He remains lightly raced. He's already amassed $1.26 million. Like, he's been well placed, but also he's been winning those races. And he represents an underrated trainer in Cherie DeVoe, who I am one of probably the biggest fans of. I think she's fantastic at getting these horses ready. I actually tipped him when he won an allowance race at Churchill right at the start of his career. I say right at the start, it was only 4 races ago. But he did it nicely that day and came back to win a stakes at that venue. I haven't been with him the last twice. Obviously, he won last time out, but as you say, he got a dream trip. Whether he's going to get that again here, I don't know.
No, I don't quite think he will. But as I say, he beat Hershey and he beat Neat. Is there, before we get to selections, is there anything else that you wanted to throw into the race as an also mentioned?
Not necessarily in great detail, though I will mention a couple of others. I think Trickery is the horse to beat. If you beat Trickery, I think you'll win the race. He'll be second or third at the end and should be favourite. Brilliant Bertie's improving, but I'm willing to bypass him and try and take him on. The others that are interesting to me, Neat and Laganos, both have good course form here from the spring. Neat will sit just in behind the pace and look to come through. Laganos will probably be on the speed or as close as possible to the speed. Maybe doesn't have the early to actually factor in the early stages, but will try to be ridden forward. And I don't think you can discount Evade either, who comes over from England. I think won a race at Chester, or at least ran close at Chester. Had one start in the US and it was in a sprint. However, Evade does have to prove that he handles the extra distance because he's been seen over shorter. You're going to mention one other horse who finished behind Brilliant Bertie last time, who has the unexposed look to him. I'm going to go very left field with my selection, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, we're both going a bit more value in this contest. We're both looking away from the favourites or the likely favourites. I'm going to go for Hershey in this, who has only had the 3 starts to date. And honestly, the 3 runs have been fairly similar. Managed to win a maiden special weight first time up over at Churchill, went to Ellis Park and won an allowance race there, beating quite a nice horse in Cathebe, and Hammerstein was back in third. That's not a bad contest to be winning, especially second time up. And then Connection saw fit enough to go into the gun runner over at Kentucky Downs, which is a race that we mentioned a few moments ago. The Brilliant Bertie managed to win. Neat was in there as well. We talk about perfect trips. I don't think this horse had anywhere near the perfect trip. Jumped out of the stalls, sat relatively handy as he normally does. At Kentucky Downs, generally that's a bit of a positive, but I don't necessarily think it was that day. He tried to switch off the inside rail as well and come a bit wider as they turned for home. Again, that's exactly what you want to do at Kentucky Downs. You want to take a run at them right around the outside. He ran into just the backside of 2 or 3 horses, and he didn't have his run stopped for long. He wasn't stopped dead in his tracks, but his momentum went to 0 effectively. He had to start one set again. And after he'd just got going, that's when the other horses on the outside and the hold-up horses are kicked. That's when Brilliant Bertie went past and pounced. That's when Neat tried to do exactly the same. But the fact that he was able to quicken, stop, and then quicken again, there's clearly ability with this horse in the form of Hershey. I think with a clear run last time he wins, if he comes into this race unbeaten 3 from 3 and winning the gun runner, he'd be a very short price. Well, not very short price, but he'd be one of the favourites in this spot. Whereas for now, I think you're looking at probably getting maybe 7-1, 7-1 plus. I think he's 100% in each way play in here. Things didn't go right for him last time around, and I'll take Hershey each way. But Tom, you're going to try and outdo me with likely a bigger price runner.
Yeah, definitely a bigger price runner. I have nothing against Hershey, by the way. I like the profile of this horse. He doesn't have too much to find. So, as you say, if you can get 7-1 plus, I think you may get 8-9-1, but obviously it depends on what Nick Tamaro puts on the morning line. Then Hershey's a definite live each way bet. I'm going to go very, very left field. We have seen quite a few long shots come through on the turf at Keeneland so far. Maybe I'm just way off the mark here. And if so, maybe you should look at Trikari or Luke's selection in Hershey. But I'm going to put up Depiction each way. Now, no morning line, but I think we're probably going to get 16, 20-1 on this horse. Well, I hope anyway. I don't really foresee him being much shorter. He's the second string for Cherie, who also has Brilliant Bertie. Depiction's just 2 from 8 in his career. He's not got that immense strike rate that some of the market leaders have. He's run pretty well in some hot events, but he hasn't got close. But I am convinced we haven't seen the best of him yet. He ran 6th in the Grade 2 Bourbon at this track last year. He suffered a trouble trip that day, was much better than the finishing position. He finished 7th in the Transylvania on a seasonal reappearance at this track, when again he had a bad trip through. He was right out the back behind a slow pace, came fast and late down the outside, but wasn't able to get there. On that piece of form, he doesn't have much to find with Neat, Laganos, and therefore Brilliant Bertie as well. So I think you can make a good case for him just on that alone. Now, he subsequently came out and won a race, and then he's had 2 races where he's finished behind Brilliant Bertie again. But again, he's been so far out the back of the pack and just unable to close them down. Bigger field here, hopefully a faster early pace. Keeneland with that long home straight will suit him better. He's not drawn overly well for a closer in 2, and I don't love Florent Geroux on board, I have to admit. Florent's better seen on Brad Cox's trainees that go straight to the front. Florent has a great clock in his head, he can kick off the lead and win. On closers, he's nowhere near as potent. However, I like the distance for this horse, Depiction. Cherie underrated, as I say, as a trainer, overlooked in some cases, and maybe her second string won't take any money in here. So I'm going to go very left field. I'm going to play Depiction each way, hopefully a huge price. If you're in America, win, place, show on this horse. And hopefully Florent Geroux gives Depiction a chance to close up and isn't 10 lengths behind turning for home.
Yeah, could be a couple of big big winners for Cherie in the last few weeks. She feels pretty, obviously, the biggest one, who was awesome the other week in the QE2. But Depiction, it is for Tom. I'll take Hershey, probably both each way shouts, definitely Depiction, but I'm hoping for the 7-1 plus. I'll take that on board Hershey. But that's a look at the Bryan Station. Next time you see us, if you didn't watch the American football podcast for Thursday Night Football, we will both be in different surroundings, and we're praying the internet is absolutely fine. So come back, watch that next week, or watch our Thursday Night Football preview for next week, or watch our Sunday football preview. It's early morning. It's early.
Watch everything, guys.
Yeah, just what. Look, if we put something up on our channel, just watch it. All right, just watch it. Tom, safe flight.
Yeah, thank you. You too as well. Obviously, you're going for a lovely trip to Florida, so I am very, very jealous there. Hopefully, you'll give us a bit of the behind the scenes of what you can see from your hotel. But yeah, looking forward to speak to you next. I don't think we've hit that 300 subscriber mark yet. We're very close, so please do subscribe if you enjoy the horse racing or NFL side. You don't want to miss out, and it helps us as well. I know it's cringy to say, but it's true. So yeah, we'll see you next for the Sunday NFL preview, and hopefully we can find winners that side and on this horse racing pod.
Yeah, you had one job, guys. Get us to 300, and you didn't. But we'll try it again this week. Thank you very much for watching the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. Until we next get to speak to you, stay safe, look after other. Goodbye.